I'm really excited to be doing my first ever yoga video with you guys. So I've decided to start today with a gentle morning yoga routine. One of the things that I get asked about the most as a yoga teacher is what I do every day, or do I do yoga every single day? And the answer is no, honestly. Obviously life sometimes gets ahead, but what I do try to do in the morning, even if it's just for 5 minutes, is a gentle kind of stretch and wake up my body. I also find this is really, really great for the mind, because if the first thing that you do in the morning is not look at your phone or not think about work, but just get on the mat, take it nice and slow, start stretching out your body and just give it that bit of love, it really sets the day off at the right pace, and I always notice I feel tons better. So this is how we start. So I've laid out a blanket here to make sure that we're really nice and cozy this morning, making sure that the mat is warm beneath us and that we're comfortable, because that's the most important thing. So we're going to start with our knees as wide as the yoga mat, your big toes coming to touch. Sit bones nice and low. We're going to slowly walk our bodies down towards the ground. So you're aiming for your chest to come towards the ground, coming really nice and low here, and allowing your head, your forehead or your chin to sink down towards the floor. Now, be compassionate with where your body is today. You might be up here if you're feeling particularly tight. You can always widen your arms a little bit just to allow your shoulders a bit more space. And it might be your chin, it might be your forehead that comes to the floor. It might be neither, you might be up here, and that's absolutely fine. But we're just aiming to get your sit bones to come down and your head to come down, so we get a stretch all through the body. If you have any pain in your knees, or if this is uncomfortable for you, you can always place a blanket underneath your knees here, or underneath your ankles, just to pad them up a little bit and make sure that you're comfortable. And as this is our first stretch of the day, we're going to take a few nice deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And really notice how your body moves as you take that deep inhale and exhale. How as you expand, you lift up, and then as you exhale and everything recontracts, you sink back down. A lot in yoga about making space within your body, making space for yourself, making space for positivity in your life. And when we breathe, we create, we make that space. And then as we exhale, we release, we let go. Find that balance. And as you exhale, really allow yourself to just release into this stretch. This might be the first thing that you've done today. So smile, be compassionate with yourself, be happy that you've shown up on the mat and you've given yourself this space in the morning to look after yourself. With your next inhale, walk your fingertips over towards the left-hand side of your mat so you can feel a stretch all through that left side body. And again, keep your chest, your head really nice and low. Now take your left hand and hold your right wrist if it feels nice for you. And again, breathe here, stretching out that right hand side. You might be all the way over here if you've got really tight shoulders and sides. It's better to be down here and not so far along than up here and pushing down like this. Otherwise you won't make the most out of this stretch. Inhale, lifting up your body, walking those fingertips over towards the left hand side. And again, not trying to push yourself to come all the way over here, because you won't feel the benefit of the stretch. You want to stay nice and low, and then move those arms over. Maybe kind of tilting your head onto your left ear, holding your left wrist with your right hand, keeping your chest really nice and low. Making sure that you're aware of your hips. Is your left hip coming up here? Try to keep both hips nice and low, the sit bones low on your feet. Beautiful. Okay, Take a nice inhale and come back through to center. Take a second back in the central line, refine your alignment. And as we inhale, we're going to lift our sit bones, bring our hands underneath our shoulders, bringing those knees back to center so that we have two parallel lines between the front of our legs and the backs of our arms. Pushing those hands into the floor so we really create that connection between the ground and our hands. Pushing up so our shoulders are active, our neck's nice and straight, it's not up, it's not down. We're trying to create a nice long line between our tailbone and the top of our head. Into our tabletop position. And then we can lift up our tailbone, drop our navel and gently look up towards the sky. Exhale, we drop the tailbone, lift the navel up towards our spine and drop the head. Inhale to lift the tailbone, lift the head. Exhale to round. Do this a few more times, just finding your own breath. Inhaling as we look up and exhaling as we drop that tailbone and drop the head. But it's your breath, it's your movement, so find your own pattern here. Keeping those shoulders away from the ears, we're not hunching up. And then if you like, you can find a bit more movement here. So you don't necessarily just have to go up and down, you can start dropping further back, moving from side to side, staying anywhere that feels really nice to stretch. Remembering to keep arching and flexing and breathing. You might find that you click here. Just notice where your body needs that stretch, that movement, and allow your brain to be free of the constraints of what you expected yoga to be. A few more breaths. Then we'll come back to our tabletop position. I want you to keep your hips where they are. And slowly walk your fingertips forward, coming into a puppy pose, heart to earth. So your chest again is melting down towards the floor, but we're really this time keeping those hips level, keeping that straight front of our thighs, and dropping your head down towards the ground, getting a really nice stretch through your arms and back. If you ever do downward dog and it feels too much, then this is a really great alternative because you stretch really similar muscles. And sometimes downward dog can seem like a hamstring stretch, but really it should be for your back and shoulders. So allow yourself to drop your knees and just stretch these hands forward, coming into this heart to earth pose or puppy pose. Deep breaths. And if you've got a blanket here, you might want to come up and quickly move it now. Just place it gently at the side. Because we're going to walk ourselves back to this tabletop. Tuck your toes under. Gently lift up your knees just off the floor for a second, engaging that core. And then push back, coming into a downward dog. Now this is probably your first downward dog of the day. So you're going to walk it out gently, rocking those knees backwards and forwards, heels coming up and down to the ground. We're not trying to force our heels down to the ground. This is quite a strong stretch. So allow your knees to be bent with heels lifted. Try to lift your hips. You might be creating a little tent with your t-shirt here like I am. Pushing out through those hands, keeping those shoulders really nicely engaged, but not trying to crunch them up towards your ears. Then we're going to look between our hands and slowly walk our feet towards the front of the mat. Holding on to either elbow. Nice little micro bend in your knees, not locking through. Just allow yourself to hang here for a few breaths. Drawing circles with your arms, maybe figure of eights, nodding your head yes and no. And then keeping your knees nice and bent, Going to straighten up through your legs, coming up vertebra by vertebra until we're standing at the front of our mat. Now in this pose, we want to imagine that our feet are really connecting with the floor. The earth is such an important part of us. Obviously, the way that we stand, we have to trust the earth beneath us. So really pay attention to which parts of your feet are pressing into the ground. The knuckles of your toes, the outside edges of your feet, your heels. And then push down as if you're really pushing against a door or something into the ground. And at the same time, try to lift through the arches, and you'll notice that your kneecaps start to lift. Your quadriceps start to engage. And then imagine tucking under your tailbone, engaging your core, knitting together your lower and upper abdominal muscles. Lift your shoulders up towards your ears and then gently let them roll back down. Inhale, lift your shoulders towards your ears, and exhale, allow them to roll down. One more time, inhaling, shoulders up, and exhale to release. I invite you to close your eyes here. I can't speak today. And really imagine the connection that you have here between the ground and your feet. So it's something that we often don't notice or appreciate, but our feet are constantly moving in order to find that balance. So when your eyes are closed, you might feel really unsteady as you think your feet are moving, but actually that's just what's happening constantly as we try to find that balance, that connection, and hold ourselves up straight. So allow yourself to trust your feet here, lifting yourself all the way up, as if someone's pulling a string through the top of your head, shoulders nice and down, spine really nice and straight. And we're going to open our eyes, lift our arms up above our head, bring your hands to your chest. Inhale to lift up again, and this time exhale, rain your hands down towards the floor, placing them just in front of your feet. And your feet should be about hip distance apart. You might need to bend your knees in order to place your hands on the floor, and that's no problem. Aiming for your chest to kind of be resting on the top of your knees. Inhale, and then as we exhale, we're going to step back into a plank pose. So again, just a little bit of core here, trying to keep your tailbone really nice and low, pushing through your heels. Again, there's that straight line from the top of your head all the way to the base of your heels. And then keeping our elbows really nicely in, trying to go down in one straight line so nothing's going first, but we're all coming down together. Lower yourself all the way down to the floor. Untuck your toes, keeping your hands just either side of your shoulders. Inhale, lifting up that chest, engaging the core, trying to bend your back ever so slightly, look up. Exhale to release. We're going to come back to one more downward dog, so tuck your toes again. And you can either go over your knees and then up like this, or if you want a bit more strength today, we're going to try and go all the way from here. So lifting up those knees so they're not touching the floor, pushing up through your arms and all the way to your downward dog. Stay here for just a couple of breaths. Then we're going to look between our hands and gently come to sit. Nice. So now we're in our seated position. You can either be cross-legged here in Sukhasana, our easy cross, or if you want a bit more of a hip opening, you can just place your left foot in front of your right or your right in front of your foot. I'd encourage you to do whichever one feels less natural. It's probably the hip that needs a bit more work. And when we come into this pose, you might find that it starts to hurt you because the muscles in your back aren't used to actually being sat up straight. So really try to imagine that your back is straight. We don't want you to be sat like this or really, really overarching, but notice your spine. And again, imagine that string through the top of your head. You might need to sit on a blanket. There's no problem with that. It can just be quite painful if we're not used to this. It's just getting used to the yoga. So I'm actually going to take a blanket today, lifting up my tailbone. And then it allows you just to have a slightly better posture. Something that I just really like to do anyway. It's more comfortable, and I find I get more from yoga when I do it. Take a second to catch your breath here. And then we're going to place our hands in a prayer position in front of our chest. drop your head as you look down at your hands and allow your spine to round so that you're coming into a kind of flexion of your spine in cat-cow. And then as we inhale, we're going to push our hands up and forward, but we're not trying to get them up over our head like this, because then you'll notice that your shoulders come up towards your ears. So what we want to do instead is keep your hands kind of at a 45-degree angle in front of you. And this way your shoulders will be really nice and low, and yet you can still have your hands together. And as we do this, I want you to arch your back so that we're starting to work on a bit of a back bend. Exhale to drop your hands and look down. Inhale, coming up, lifting those arms, arching the back slightly, looking up. Exhale to come down and arch through the spine. Dropping the head. And again, we'll do this just a few more times. One last time, inhale and exhale. Nice. Now what I want you to do is, whichever way round your legs are, swap them so that we are working on the other hip. Then we're going to place our arms out in front of us like you're pushing close the door. Take a nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, start to draw your shoulders back, pushing on your hands still, and seeing how far back you can get your arms. Now, sometimes my shoulders are tight, and this is as far as I can go. I still can't come too far. It just depends on the day, and it's something that's really important to work on. Inhale. Exhale to come back forward. Inhale. Exhale. Keeping your hands really nice and active. Inhale. And exhale to come back forward again. We'll do this one more time. Inhale. Exhale to move. Inhale. Exhale to come back through center. Beautiful. Roll your wrists a few times, shake your arms, allow your shoulders to relax. And then what we're going to do is keep your right foot in and extend your left leg out in front of you. Looking towards that left foot, lift your arms up towards the sky and then exhale to come forward, reaching for whatever is accessible for us today. So it might be that you're holding onto your shin, it might be your ankle, it might be your foot. Try not to force yourself. We're just trying to open this hamstring and this hip. So just allow yourself to come forward and feel the stretch. It could be something very new for you. And again, breathe here, finding ease in our exhale. And then slowly walk yourself back up. We're going to turn towards our left hand side. Place your left hand on your right knee and lift your right arm overhead. Try to keep your chest shining forward. We can stretch through the right side body and allow ourselves to come down over that left leg. This is a very intense stretch through that right side. I find a lot of people really struggle with tension here, and I know that I personally always feel extra tight here in the morning, so I always try to do this stretch. 3 breaths. And again, you're not just trying to reach for here, otherwise if you just reach like this, you won't get the benefit of that stretch. So really allow that arm to come overhead, even if it means you come less far. Inhale to come up. Do the same on the other side. Extending that right leg out long, bending the left leg so that your inside of your left foot comes into the inside of your right leg. Turning towards that right foot, inhale to look up. And exhale to reach for whatever is available for us today. So this is Janu Sirsasana, which actually means head to knee pose, but if your head is not reaching your knee, you are very normal. we really just want to aim for extending that spine, not hunching over, but really keeping a nice straight back as we look forward and we come down. And each side's different, so if you are less flexible on this side than the other, that's again so normal. One more deep breath, and then exhale to walk your way back up. This time, turn towards your left knee. Place your right hand on the outside of your left leg. Lift that left arm overhead, and then keeping your right foot flexed, your chest nice and open, reaching over. And smile, this is a really, really intense stretch. Don't forget to breathe. Don't forget to keep your chest open. We're not trying to just reach for here. It's an aim. We don't have to be there. Inhale to come up. Lovely. And we're going to bring our right foot in this time. Bring our left and right feet together. Just gently open up our feet as if we're opening the pages of a book. Inhale. And then exhale again, keeping your spine really nice and straight. Our heels don't have to be anywhere near to our groin. It's just more about having this opening of our hips. And then we'll bring our body forward again, keeping that spine really nice and straight, not arching over to try and get our head down towards the floor, but just allowing our body to come down gently. You can have your hands in front of you, you can have your hands on your feet, and use your elbows to open up your hips, whatever works for you. Yoga is a very individual journey. Take 3 nice deep inhales here. And finally, we push ourselves up. Place your hands underneath your knees and bring them to the center. Give yourself a really nice big hug here, wrapping your arms around your knees. Dropping your head down. Thanking yourself for turning up on the mat today. I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day, and let me know any thoughts that you have about this video below. Anything that you'd like to work on. I really want to start working with people. So thank you for watching. Namaste.